round of 16s on the trot.
Yeah, I mean, as you said, third time. First time lost to Cypher, and then second time he lost to Garpy.
Yeah,
he's a Russian.
Go on, Garpy.
He's a Russian, and he, from what I have seen, he plays a very defensive style. And I don't actually really know that much about Sephis. I did see him in Quake Live, and I haven't seen much of him in Quake Champions, so I'm quite excited to see what he can bring out against him.
Yeah, Sephis did beat Dazator on his way through the brackets. Now, I don't know if a lot of people will know this name, but kind of I'd say between 2011, 2014, that type of period, he was a very good Russian dueler who was, you'd expect him to make pretty deep into the online tournament brackets. So Sephis having gotten that under his belt to get to this stage is a really positive sign. We're going to get into the picks right away for Corrupted Keep, where we're going to get 2 ranges off the bat, and Inns going for the, okay, we're going to get double BJs and a Nix and a clutch there for Inns right at the end.
The final pick clutch.
I'm often now surprised to not see clutches picked on Corrupted Keep, because I just think that clutch works really well there, and if you're not going to pick it, you've got to have a good way to be prepared for one.
Yeah, and again, look, seeing Inns in previous weeks, I definitely think it suits the playstyle. So, and it came out in response to a Nix. I never think it would be picked just because of a Nix, but obviously there is that interaction there that does favour clutch somewhat. So yeah, I mean, the picks are, I guess, relatively standard for what we should expect.
And Sephis playing from Switzerland. This is a player that I've played a couple of times as well. Not in competition, as far as I can remember, but he's a perfectly solid guy. I would have to say, though, I favour Inns to win this probably around the sort of 60–65% mark, in my opinion. Sephis, the problem with Sephis is he has got minimal competitive exposure, and that's something that's really important. And it's really important to start building no matter how experienced you are in a game, which is why these tournaments that we have, like these qualifiers, it's important for everyone to get stuck in and start building that experience. We are in the game now between Inns and Sephis. We've got Clutch going up versus BJ, and BJ, he's already tried to pop the dual wield and not going to make anything of that. Got a bit of damage between the shield barriers going down with rockets fired, but not enough.
Yeah, and we see the clutch coming out first despite being picked last, so once again it does indicate to me that clutch was always going to be there, and he just wanted to hide that from the opponent.
And it's quite quickly is able to build up his health and armor. And now with the Nix to go again, it's about who's going to be popping that ability first. And has got plenty of weaponry. Oof, got to be careful of these rockets. And he's going to try and cut him off over here, going in with the shield. But we haven't got the Ghost Walk used yet, and I think that is great work from Sephis, actually, to have managed to escape that.
I completely agree, and that is the sign that Inns needs to just play slightly more defensive, pick up those time bubbles, and really wait it out for another just 10 seconds. But it can be quite a long time in Quake.
This is a big opportunity right now for Sephis to do some damage. So, but there we go. There's the LG coming out. There's still 2 seconds left, but weakening Inns a fair amount, and forcing him to have to play on the items a little bit more. If Sephis can actually keep playing like that, I know it's really early on, but it's a good sign. It
is very smart play from Sephis not to overcommit to these items, but at the same time...
Whoa, the algae coming through, and he just gets the rocket damage on him. The rocket was also used by Inns, which meant his shield temporarily went down, and Sephis was able to do the damage. Sephis now with the algae, Dire Orb comes out, but it does not matter. He is getting the job done.
Some crazy aim coming out there, to be fair, though, doing tons of damage to Inns.
No, this is actually incredibly good, and he's managing his ability very well on top of that, which I think is proving so useful for him.
Yeah, when you have that in the bag, you can afford to do some really just crazy moves and get away with it.
Got to be careful though. That's the Blaskovitz will have dual wield up at some point. Unfortunately, Sephis has got the ability that could save him from trouble. It's going to be important for Inns to try and force the Ghost Walk without using dual wield. And then it's just a simple question of catching him off guard for a fraction of a second and getting the maximum damage out. The LG, there it is, force the Ghost Walk, and I believe there was no dual wield used then. And he might not even have to use it. Can he find that last bit of damage? The machine gun does come out, and that is going to spell it 1-all with champions remaining.
Slightly careless on both sides. Inns just standing on the item, and then Sephis pushing in onto the item as a Nix. When when you're always the underdog in those type of fights. So.
Oh, Insta just spot him on the corner of his eye. He's got a decent stack, and as well managing to manage his own use of the dual wield. He's going to have that going up against Ranger, so this could be quite big. I think that Sephis has got to be careful with his Dire Orb, as that escapability could prove very, very important for him. Oh, the air rocket, just as he rocket jumped up, that's a huge amount of health expelled.
Yeah. Inns needs to try and take the high ground. He's just cycling items at the minute, and that's...
Fair enough.
If he's going to hit a full rocket, it's fine. But at the same time, he was taking an abundance of damage, and if he didn't hit that full rocket, he probably would have died. So he needs to just take more map presence on the higher ground and really push Sephis away. Sephis is happy to try and sacrifice those items in exchange for damage, and Inns needs to learn from that and really keep that high ground a little bit more sturdy. And
Inns didn't even use the dual wield on Blazkowicz in the end. He just didn't really need to do it. He was doing just fine without it. A very late pickup. Oh, BJ, that's unusual time to use it. His BJ was not very good against Clutch last time round.
No, but this time he's reserved and not run into his doom, so...
Bit of armor. Now this is going to be the push-in. Shields up. Dual wield is out. He's using it preemptively, but he's actually got an insane amount of damage of the air rocket to finish. We got the Mega up. He delayed the armor to begin with. I don't know if he'll be able to make it there in time. I
don't know what just happened, but that was disgusting.
Well, he was picking up the rockets at the right time, and when he popped up the clutch, obviously when you're in the air, you're so much more vulnerable. Your shield only covers like a part of you.
No, it was great rockets. Yeah.
But it just looked interesting how he kind of engineered that fight to begin with. It was, you saw the shield and you thought, oh, there's no way there's going to be any effectiveness, but Inza let him be effective through just careless aggression.
Smart play.
Whoa, no, he just got perforated there through the teleporter. Sephis timing the use of the teleporter.
And we can see Sephis just taking the high ground again, and this is what you need to do when you're in control on this map. That all began with him just getting information on the timing and falling back to take the red. So now he has full control of the map.
Now he's using this preemptively, I think, because he wants to secure that mega health. He's got it, but he hasn't got any dual wield to go against anymore.
Yeah.
I wonder who this armor will go to. It looks like actually
has to be Inns. There's no way that Sephis can push across. Yeah, I mean, it was a little bit silly popping it so early because he's going up against someone that has the same ability, so he just sat there and waited till it had gone.
I'm actually almost surprised that Inns wasn't able to close out the frag a little bit sooner. He may have just seen his feet for a moment as they drop down. The Mega's going to be up. Is Sephis going to be able to secure any items? He's kind of put himself right on the back foot on this map.
He needs to get out. He wants information, but he also needs to know he's safe. Okay, he's got the information, which means he can push back and take a defensive position, probably up high on the bridge.
And he's going to get some updated information now as he hears the steps below him. And just trying to do some precautionary spam on the side. He doesn't want to overcommit to this room because the amount of damage you can do from a distance with the machine gun is pretty remarkable. Mega's up. Wow. I thought he was going for the full challenge there. He might be able to get himself over to the armor in time. Inns is above. Oh, this is greedy. Oh, it finds him through the teleporter. LG to follow him up. The rocket goes through his legs and the machine gun it does the job. That was a bit insane. I'm finding there's a bit of carelessness though going through the teleporter. There are people who are willing to gamble a little bit just to see how the fight pans out. But yeah. Sephis with a perfect response there to Inns's commitment.
You're completely right. It was fortunate and it played out to his advantage, but on another game, it might have not happened.
We're getting an aggressive start right at the beginning again, actually. Sephis using the dual wield early on, but the robot just flies over him.
I'm seeing Sephis use this champion slightly in a different way. He's more than liberal with just using the dual wield if he thinks a fight might happen. It's kind of similar way in which you play Clutch. You just use it preemptively, and then if it's not up, you back off until it's up again. So it's quite an interesting approach, really.
Oh, wow. The damage he did there. Got to be careful of the shield. And still wants to come through, but he finds a direct rocket again. Has he got any more? He does, and he finds the rocket at the end, eliminating Clutch from the third round. And Inns has got Ranger. We're going up versus the Knicks.
Yeah, and now we have... Again, Sephis with the opportunity with the Ghost Walk up just to do nice damage and still has that fallback.
Whoa, that LG though from Sephis, he tries to commit a little bit too much. The amount of damage he'd done already, he could probably walk away a happy man. But I think he wanted, you have to set yourself realistic objectives, and I think he got a little bit in over his head.
Yeah, it's one of those things in Quake, it's about balancing risk and reward, and he'd already done so much that his confidence was enough to push him perhaps for a kill. But you can't ever predict that someone's going to hit basically a 75 rocket on you at a really random angle.
He used the die roll across the other side. He's just forces a lot of damage on Inns and trying to put himself out of a sticky situation like that. Brave.
Brave.
It almost worked.
But foolish.
I mean, I think really just get out then. I mean, I don't know why you have to force these fights. You've always got to have an escape route, is the way that I've looked at Duel.
Yes.
And a lot of these players are like, right, I'm committing, and I'm going to make it work.
It was more that he was caught out of position and felt almost trapped into using the most extreme situation. What we haven't seen on this map that we saw on the Chronic, and we are seeing it exactly right now, is this protection of the rocket launcher area.
I think you will have been heard there. There's a huge robot falling down the stairs.
Yeah, a few tons of crashing down the stairs.
Mega is going to be up, and yeah, Sephis is just going to back off. Mate, you can take it, that's fine.
Yeah, and the way in which Sephis is playing is pretty much the counter to which Syndrome was playing before. He's saying, if this isn't safe, most of the time I'm quite happy for you to have it. But against Clutch, that's always a little bit dangerous. You need to try and do some damage at least.
Yeah, a little bit of a scatter of LG. No. Okay, this rockets do slow him down a little bit, and he's just escaping. That's nice. I like that. Just run in circles around the map.
I think
you'll be fine.
The counter to Clutch, which is a pillar.
And he had the dual wield nail gun out for a moment, dodging the rockets actually quite nicely. Oh, that rocket just going past the robotic thighs.
Close, yeah.
I think Clutch really wants to push in there, but he's just such a target for damage. If you were a fast champion, you possibly would have gone in there and tried to secure the kill. Sephis needs to stack up a bit.
Yeah, he's not healthy, but I believe he does have the jeweled up, so the next step is keeping away from Clutch until he uses his shield, and then hoping you don't die, and then you can push in.
Look at that stack he's got to go against. There's, what, 350 collective health and armor that you're battling upwards to.
Exactly.
He's got 75 health, 50 armor, and he's almost at his cap.
One of the most crucial things against Clutch, and we've said it time and time again, is that chip damage. He's such a large champion. You need to keep whittling him down, because when he gets to this stage in the game, there's not much you can do except run.
This is great unreturned damage that Sephis is doing. The amount of stack he's reduced, and a rocket sending in sky high. Is there going to be a race to armor?
I believe I heard the Duel being popped.
Oh, really?
I might be wrong, but I thought I heard it.
There's a possibility. We know, as you said earlier, Sephis is quite liberal in the way that he uses it. Oh, a little bit later spot. We're going to get direct rockets from both of them as Sephis decides to commit suicide in the end, and is going to give Inns an advantage in this decisive round. If Inns wins this, he is going to be going with a map up into the next map of the series.
That was nice by Sephis. He knows he has heavy armor to fall back on. He's using Nyx's agility just to do chip damage onto Clutch.
He's getting much nail gun damage there. A tiny bit came out, not a huge amount. Getting a nail gun, he's really hoping to hit some strong shots. Has he not got Ghost Walk? Nothing there at all? Does not seem that way. Sorry, no, there was nothing going on there. Peculiar.
It was slightly peculiar. I didn't see him use the Ghost Walk previously, so I can only assume he wasn't expecting to get hit again by another full.
And we have got the Ranger. This is the last hurrah here for Sephis. He's been doing all right versus Inns so far. He's actually, to some extent, surpassed some of my expectations and just how intelligently he's been playing. But look at that, he actually moves into that die roll. Can he get that final bit of damage? Not quite. Inns is tremendously weak though. He's got nothing on him and he's still kind of just happy to be in the same room as Sephis.
That was good play by Sephis, rocket jumping up to the bridge to take that high ground. That's where you're safest, really.
Sephis has got to push in for a frag. Very, very important. Okay, that's guys. Okay, I don't know if you guys have played much Quake, but let me educate you on what you should avoid doing. Now, the maps they might have some certain boundaries, and if you fall off them, it's just certain death. And when you walk off without, you know, anyone pushing you, it's negative. I don't even care about that frag. I mean, what the hell did I just see before?
Well, there's 30 seconds left. And Sephis is really in the advanced position to push this. I would say he doesn't really want it to go to overtime, but at the end of the day,
am I seeing?
Yeah, it's crazy.
I mean, I thought there was no chance for this to happen.
There we go. There is a downside to Clutch's movement.
Yeah, I mean, In's clearly having some troubles. Can I request that on the replay? Oh, sure. Can I request it to just be removed from history altogether? Because
here we go, sudden death.
Shouldn't happen. Anyway, let's. I'll move on beyond that. I'm sticking to it a bit too closely, but Seph has still done very well. I've got to give him some congratulatory statements to say you've made it to the overtime and giving himself a chance to tie up the rounds on this first map. And hopefully, for In's sake, he's not going to be too distraught from what should have been a pretty easy round win. Blaskovitz, right? Oh, that's amazing rockets, actually. Oh, I love that. He's going over to the LG, but he almost commits. Sephis with some very intelligent attacks, and he is just pulling away from the fight at the exact opportune moment.
Intelligent but ballsy. Yeah, that is the real way.
Hello, they meet each other, both with some pretty powerful rockets. The LG, though, from Sephis, he is going to clean up that round.
And we're on 2-2.
Marvelously executed.
Yeah, I mean, it all comes down to the ice skating off the map, but it's still Sephis had to close it out, and he did that remarkably well.
I mean, it was assisted, as we've already covered, but anyway, let's forget about that. Sephis, he's on Blaskovitz to begin with. Can he give us as magical a round as last?
The heavy armor.
There's a big delay on there, and Sephis is not going to have a clue. And that shield being used already. Can he survive beyond the shield? Machine gun coming out. Using the dual wield, actually, probably a good shot just for any scare factor to stop that robot rushing him. He's found right below. He's in massive trouble. Dropping off the edge, in hindsight, was a bad idea for Sephis.
The one thing Sephis is doing quite smart, and that I haven't seen many other players do, is using the nail gun against this clutch. Because he's such a big target and it does a remarkable amount of damage. It's been really effective at keeping clutch relatively zoned out.
It's definitely an underrated weapon. And against I mean, it's not just against clutch. I think it's good at against Solag, against Scalebearer.
It's good against everybody in reality, but it's easy to hit against the clutch.
Oh, the shield coming through. We've got the Ghost Walk. No, we don't at all. Sephis goes down in that occasion, and it's just a Ranger to escape versus. There's no shield up, so can he get some of that machine gun damage? Not at all. Sephis falls in 125 on round 5.
And once again, we see the power of the clutch in that some players just really struggle. I mean, not some players, the majority of players against a good clutch really struggle to deal with it, particularly on Corrupted Key.
I think there's a few misplays from Sephis right at the end. The ways that he was managing some of his abilities, he could definitely have changed it. Because I know I've been really impressed by Sephis throughout the course of that map, but at the end it felt like he finished it on a little bit of a downward swing.
So simple stuff about overcommitting to that heavy armor, not using the Ghost Walk, etc. etc. There were little mistakes, but I think overall they both played a great game, and it was very even throughout.
Yeah.
And I've been impressed with Sephis, particularly seeing that Inz has done so well in previous weeks.
Yeah.
Sephis matched that.
Exactly, he's on the big stage and he's delivering us some good games. It is of course going to be Sephis's map pick coming up next, so he will get to change things up, and we will have the railgun reintroduced into this series. Let's see what they decide to pick. We have Ruins of Sarnath chosen by Sephis, and we're getting the Ranger to start with, Nyx for Inz, and let's see if we get any kind of just repeat picks. Is there going to be clutch? It looks like the same for Sephis, and no clutch anymore. He's choosing that visor instead.
And we did see Chronic's clutch struggle a little bit on this map. So it is very dependent. Obviously, Crop to Keep is a great map for clubs. So seeing that Visor come out is just another strong champion that you can use in a variety of ways. There isn't really anything that it does particularly well. It just does everything well.
Yeah, and I think with that piercing side, there's different ways that you can use it. It's not just about information gathering or trying to predict the next rail shot. You can zone out,
exactly.
Zone out your opponents, and you can kind of almost keep them stationary because there's that sort of paranoia of, oh my god, if I go around this corner, I'm going to take damage. And especially if you're a light champion, you just don't want to take anything.
Particularly on Ruins, I think it's a great ability for zoning other champions out because of all the number of attack routes there are to these items, and you can make sure you know exactly where they are and keep them at bay.
And any predictive rockets on top of that is always massively welcomed by the players. And it looks like we are setting up here in map 2. Inns is a map up on Sephis at the moment. Is he going to be getting that 2-0? We'll find out. Sephis first though on the Nyx versus another Nyx. This could either be really, really slow or really, really fast. Nyx obviously known for being able to change the pace of the game quite dramatically. We've got to watch out. Don't want to use that Ghost Walk first, but it is Sephis that will be forced to do it to begin with.
Inns knows exactly where Sephis is.
Is he going to go through? Whoa, brave move by Sephis. Drop down. He has got the rail, so he could use that, but he's going to go in for the health instead. Sephis did manage that situation quite well, to be fair. And the armor up. Oh, the rockets coming in! Absolutely perfect work from Inns. And he manages to get himself that armor.
That was exceptional.
I almost wish for maybe a little bit more rail, but I guess I can't really criticize what Sephis did too much, apart from possibly too soon to go to a major item.
It was, yeah, I mean, it was slightly that, but Inns just read every step of the way exactly what Sephis wanted to do and cut him off at every corner.
Decent rail shot there by Sephis. Not forcing out a Ghost Walk at all. But he might have to in a moment. There it is. And Sephis has got plenty of stack. He's trying to find the rail. Not going to hit the shot at all.
It was one of those situations where Inns reserved it for a defensive purpose, but I believe he definitely could have used the Ghost Walk offensively and caught Sephis off guard. Again, it's just a playstyle thing that I think Inns always wants that to fall back on.
And he's finding the number of hourglasses on this map as well to reduce the timer on that cooldown. Armor coming up is going to be Sephis on the backside of the area. What a rail from Inns as well. Finding that extra damage. Darorb used to escape, and we might have... I thought he was going to think of rocket jumping for a second. This could call for an aggressive Ghost Walk, and the second I thought of saying that, he was all over it. Just be careful, he hasn't got much of a stack, and having just used Ghost Walk, although Sephis is not going to be aware of that, you want to be very, very careful. Is Sephis again going to brave it out and go for armor? No.
No, he's far too damaged. He just has to play again, keep away.
And Inns has been very, very good at that hourglass, always making sure that it's up at the right time. Sephis is so weak, he's taken a rail.
This is another chance to use a defensive Ghost Walk.
He's not managed to lock him out. Again, oh, there Sephis has returned. Mega's been taken though. And Sephis knows that he's got to hit an extra amount of rail. I'm actually quite surprised that Sephis has been able to survive for so long around the map. He's picking his time to move from area to area. Absolutely, well, incredibly.
Yep, he's done a great job so far of just keeping out of the way, even though he's pretty much dead in all situations.
Is he going to go for another cheeky rail? It's a risk. Darorb came in. We've got the Mega. Sephis expecting him somewhere. Doesn't take any further damage after that, but he's got a limited pool of life. And Sephis, he's not going for the armor, he's just going to the edges of the map. And Inns, feeling though it would be the right time for Sephis to make that kind of play, is cautious when he goes to the armor. Well, that rocket might catch him out massively. He went through on the Darorb? The absolute maniac, 50 health.
And now he has a very, very slight stack advantage. He's in position for the Mega, and he can just get straight back onto the red, and now it's Inns' turn to be on the defensive.
And about time really, because there's 60 seconds left. There's a champion advantage for Inns. And Sephis kind of making the first of the very important steps required to tie the game up versus a Nyx. Now that he's got this stack up though, he's got to find it, and he's got to force that ability off its cooldown. He's going to go right into it. That damage straight away, there it is. Immediate play. Sephis holding his position quite tight, but overcommits back over to the mega area, but in some sense, securing the items for himself.
Yeah, I mean, there is 30 seconds. That is enough time. We can see he's not going for the heavy armor now because he knows.
That might have been an overcommitment from Sephis, giving that armor away. 20 seconds to go. He's missing all of the rails.
There is no Ghost Walk, so if he does catch him, which will be very tricky, there is still one last chance.
Sephis is making the right reads of where Inz is going, but he's just not able to walk through the damage. It's too much from Inz. And there we go, Ghost Walk used at the end. Note taken, Kilson.
Yeah, I mean, Inz played that extremely well. He didn't overcommit at all. He played it extremely patient, even though he got Sephis down extremely low number of times. And then when it was his chance to run, he did that effectively. So
I feel at the end that the armor went up and Sephis positioned himself in a way that allowed Inz to get it. Maybe he could have gone for the armor first. Because the amount of time left on Ghost Walk, but I mean, it's all about the sort of hindsight that we've got.
Exactly.
There's some very minor alterations in decision making where the outcome could have been different. Forcing it.
Use.
I like this. Oh, it's Sephis. Surely he's going to be able to get the frag, but he loses out on the mega somehow, and that's going to be the armor for Inz. We got a rail at all? We do, but not going to be landing or connecting in any way, shape or form.
Both missing absolutely crucial shots.
I think Sephis should have won that 10 times out of 10 around the mega though.
I agree, it was slightly fortunate that Inz got there first and it was a very bold move, but paying off at the end of the day.
Yeah, that's it. If you can make it work for him, then all the credit to him. Again, he's going in for this. This seems to be a staple maneuver. Is there Ghost Walk though from Sephis? Rocket's coming out. He cannot seem to land on a single rail shot. He's going for it though. From above, not much action can be made from it, and the amount of rails that Sephis must have missed.
Yeah, it all began with a nice read. He backed off because he knew for a fact that Inz was going for the aggressive Ghost Walk, and that effectively saved his life.
So Inz has got the Ghost Walk up again. Has Sephis got the same luxury?
Yeah.
Got a bit of rail damage to follow up, and Sephis does have it. He's not even going to use it that defensively, actually. Is he going to be able to escape now? That armor's up. Oh, he's not going to be found. That was just a huge pickle to be in.
It was an attempt at a double bluff. He wanted to trick Inz in thinking he was running away when in fact he was just going to stay, and Inz read it.
And still being very careful, giving a lot of respect to Sephis. I mean, coming onto this stage, being not overly experienced on the competitor scene, and being able to come out with these intelligent plays from Sephis bodes really well for him, moving deeper into the sort of Quake Champions tournament's timeline.
I completely agree. Sephis is showing a mighty fine playstyle, really. He's smart and he's got good aim, so.
But he's still got plenty of this game yet to play. Maybe he can even sneak a map or the series win under his belt. And only has that first round. Oh, a little bit of damage does find, I think, a pretty juicy rocket right at the end.
And that's enough to keep Sephis back. But he's not too concerned because he just took the mega health. He's got the heavy armor. But Inz still has the Ghost Walk. And this is always the crux point. You need to try and force that out.
He's been discovered. He's going up aggressively with that Ghost Walk. What's he trying to do with it? He's trying to make the implosion happen? Not quite. Diroll comes out, and I think Sephis wants a little piece of action. Two good rockets right at the end for Sephis, and Inz maybe a bit in over his head.
It was extremely fortunate that Sephis' bounce took him over the back of Inz because Inz lost complete tracking, and that really might cost him the map.
Yeah, and that, again, aggressive play. Early, sitting on the armor, and Sephis' timing was spot on. He didn't make a single mistake just there. The rockets came in at the right moment, and Inz wanted to back off and not take that full damage. ended up dying anyway. Just one more champion and he can tie up those rounds. There it is, found right in front of him. Doesn't need to use the die roll, but anything like that, LG tracking is top.
Yeah, and it was, again, just a nice read of the situation. He'd taken an equal trade, slightly more damage on the Mega, but he got the item, and he knew then Inns was weak, and he could follow up for a kill.
Round 3.
See if we can get more of those ABC plays here from Sephis. Armor taken instantaneously. He's going to find a good rocket there from Sephis. However, he's been weakened significantly and just used to stack Ghostwalker at the last fraction of a second. Is he still being followed though? Uncertain. No, it looks like Inns is backed off nicely. He wants a small armor.
Sephis is scared though because he knows that Inns has a big stack advantage.
Oh, what a rush actually from Inns. That was clever though, because Sephis thought, well, if I go to armor, Inns is going to cut me off over there.
Exactly. And he's read that and double back.
That was, I'm just very intelligent. Totally caught Sephis off guard. He's going to have to go over to his ranger though, which I'd say has still been probably one of his strongest champions so far. And that was Ghostwalker he's just sent.
Yeah. Nice
Great. Oh, is he going to go up that bounce pad is the question. No, he's backed off to a safe corner on the other side. Here's that Mega and Sephis to increase his stack and start to lock down Inns.
This is what Inns is very good at doing. He's just more than happy to play on the defensive, play on the back foot. But he also generally does good damage around items as well, which always keeps him in the game.
I think with that little switcheroo, Sephis is like, well, I won't fight.
I wanted this anyway.
Yeah, just got me positioned on this item. Can get up to the top easily enough. Has walked through a pretty massive choke point, but his timing has been on the dot. So he's rewarded handsomely for his efforts.
Sephis' timing has been superb, actually. And
right.
when you have that sort of impeccable timing, you can base all your decisions around the items.
Is he going to be able to follow up now and do that extra damage? He finds it. The last couple of hit points that Inns had, and he is tied. Well, both Nixes off the map, tied up the champion's scoreline. Even Stevens going for the close range rail. He goes. Is he going to get the Mega? What the hell? He gets the Mega and the rocket frag at the same time.
Yeah, it was a really great move by Sephis, but I'm not sure if Inns realised he missed the Mega until it was too late.
Still 10 seconds till armor's up, but that LG is so powerful. And he has got the armor. If he wants to fall back for it, I can be happy to do so. 5 seconds though until the Mega health. Sephis does need to work the weapons a bit, but I'm not sure which way this is going to go around.
Inns needs a rocket, but he's there now anyway. So he's in a great position to defend this next round of armors and items, should I say. But Sephis has a dual wield and should work on the assumption he has a lightning gun as well.
This is really early on this. He looks like he's just ready to take the item. That might be a 10-second mistime.
And Sephis is, yeah, just free red. Thank you very much.
He's going to find though. Can he lock him out? He got the dual wield out and just went in there. He didn't even care.
He didn't have the lightning, so I was wrong. But if he did, it might have been a different story.
Did he have? Well, I don't know what he was using at the end. It was a nail gun, whatever.
Rocket launcher.
Oh, really? It was just wholly ineffective.
But it was that initial rail as he came out was going to the Mega Health. That was the real culprit.
The thing is, Blaskos is still fairly squishy as a champion.
Yeah.
And really, if you take a rail, you've almost got to behave as an Anarchy or a Nyx or something like that. You've got to get back to stacking up and being cherishing every last hit point you have.
He was fully committed, but it was foolish again.
Good rail exchanges.
Yeah, but all that means is that both of them will just sit back in their own little territory so they feel comfortable to go find the other one.
I think it's going to be Sephis winning that race to Mega. Is he going to drop for armor? Has he got the cojones to do that? Oh, this is a nice little trap from him. Gets a bit of damage. maybe would have liked to be rewarded a bit more for it and forced the Ghost to acquire himself.
Yeah, and that gives Inns the upper hand now with his ability up. And virtually equal stack, so Inns should be going aggressive.
It's just pushing past those choke points. It's just not. You've got to restrict yourself to some extent. It's given a free rail angle. He's monitoring everything. He just does not want to use that Ghost or get 25 to 23 health. If that last rocket was a bit more potent, things could be very different. He's pushing the boundaries now in terms of what is
90 damage rail.
Okay, fair enough.
Nice. Very nice.
Because obviously you want to use defensively the Ghost Walker as late as possible if you're Nyx. But there's a fine line between being late and just dying, so...
Essentially, yeah.
To all Nyx players, do watch out.
It's the dilemma in that it is your sole lifeline and you want to be as precious with it as possible, but at the end of the day you're counting on your opponent missing a shot, and that's never a gamble you really want to take at the top level.
Yeah, because it's just that much more rare. Well, not in an exchange. Inns actually gets taken out by one shot, and he wants to go aggressive. Follow from behind. This is something that Sephis will expect it. No. What? He die-rolls back into it, but it's not going to work out for him. One more frag, and Inns can finally say that he's qualified to the QWC Regionals.
Nice use of the dual wield. Really nice use of the dual wield. Just securing the item because he knew exactly where Inns was and that he wasn't strong enough to push.
A lot of health and armor just taken by Inns. He's going to find a direct rocket. This is just so close to getting the frag. Inns has done it. He gets the 2-0 on Sephis. He's through to the regional finals in order to qualify directly to QuakeCon. He couldn't do it versus Cypher. He couldn't do it versus Garpy, but it's done. The saga's over.
It was hard work.
It was, actually. I am impressed. Even though it was a 2-0, you might reflect and think, oh, 2-0 can't be much of a fight, but it was a really good fight.
It was particularly corrupted keep. It was real hard work. Sephis put up a good fight. I did predict an Inns victory, but that was not as dominant as I was expecting.
No, absolutely. Inns had his own difficulties, and Corrupted Keep definitely had his very interesting moments on top of that.
And that is the delightful yet frustrating thing about the round format, is that you can get so close, but if you don't win that round, you're down a whole third of the game.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was so close, but it just isn't reflected in the scoreline.
No, that's very true. That's on another aggressive play, but this is where actually Sephis came out on top, perfect, where he had those crazy air rockets. It did happen on a couple of occasions where Inns' over-aggression cost him, and oh, the perforation is joyous to watch that.
Not if you're Inns.
And this is another occasion where Inns was just completely over-aggressive unnecessarily. But maybe that's the point, when you see an opponent, you're like, oh, I don't recognize that name, maybe I can be more aggressive than usual. You kind of start after figuring out, okay, I'm losing rounds here, I'm going to have to not let this happen at all. And this is I was been waiting for this all replay long. Why? Just why?
It's the point of no return. Like, you're not off the map, but you're out of control and you're just sliding to your doom. I bet that was in slow motion for Inns as well.
You know, Inns is just going to be happy that he's qualified. He's going to look at that and go, I'm so glad that did not cost me the regional final spot, because that would be... I think hilarious probably isn't the word he'd use.
No, I don't think you would want to say
horrific.
But I think the one thing, particularly on Ruins, that was really interesting was the amount of aggressive Ghost Walks coming out from Inns in the end. Not all of them paid off, but he did it particularly effectively, really. And he was very good at keeping Sephis low, but not sacrificing his own life. He did not overcommit virtually ever throughout that. Well, Corrupted Keep, yes, but Ruins, no.
And that's one thing I think at the top level when you are playing against Nyx. You have that healthy level of paranoia all the time. It's just, I could be attacked. It's like if you hear a certain level of silence, like something too quiet going on here.
You just back off and you just spam in front of you.
Exactly. There's like, where you start thinking, okay, if I was them, and I was Nyx, where would I attack me from?
But all of that in like half a second.
Yeah, exactly. So. And you think, okay, this is dangerous. Items over there, you usually don't want to sit on the item because that's where it's almost they're baiting you into, and it just those are the mind games I think in Quake Champions that just are so interesting. And it's so different as well to Quake Live because you're thinking about
exactly
other aspects of the game as well.
For Nyx, it's definitely the ability that breaks that framework in which you think about a duel. For the Anarchies of this world, it's the way in which they move around the map and take fights and take positions that you're just not used to, that you have to play, I guess, in your conscious realm. You have to always be thinking about each individual situation. You can't just play in a rhythm. It's ever changing, and that's a really exciting aspect of the game.
Oh, definitely. Guys, we are going to be going over to a quick break. When we return, we will have more from the Quake World Championships European Round of 16 qualifiers. So do get yourself a beverage, get yourself something to eat, and we'll be back in just a moment.